Harvey Levin is back with us. Harvey, by the way, your coverage has been phenomenal. These are new details for a lot of people in the letter that they would bring Nancy back to Tucson. They gave a time frame. You were able to map out that circle. And this is what you meant last night. You were a little more cryptic, that you believed it was in the local area. You felt more at liberty today to go into more detail. Tell us why you were able to.
Well, I read that letter 20 times last night, and when I started connecting the time frame that they gave in terms of how long it would take to return her to Tucson, it just became obvious to me that that would be the circle where authorities would focus. But based on everything that's happening, I am increasingly believing that, if this letter is legit, Nancy is not that far away from Tucson. The way it's written, it says bring her back to Tucson. So it doesn't sound like she's in Tucson proper, but there is some connection this person has with the Tucson community. And KOLD, the outlet that got the second letter today, they are a local station. They've been covering this a lot. And what I'm wondering is, they're sending it to a local station that is really involved in this. Is it somebody who's watching that local station? And if they're watching the local station, they're probably in some radius where that station broadcasts. So that red line that I drew on our board this morning, my guess is that circle's a lot smaller.
I think your instincts are probably right, as usual. So we have a new message. We have investigators back at the house. We have no proof of life in the second message and no path to any ongoing communications for Savannah and her family with the people that likely have her mother. So it makes it that much tougher.
Yeah, it does make it tougher. But one of the reporters at KOLD, in describing the letter and describing it very cryptically, made it sound like there's something alarming in there. There was no ransom demand or anything like that, but there was something in there that was somewhat alarming. And I have no idea. It could have to do with Nancy's health. I don't know. But when we got our first letter, the first thing out of the box was she's okay but scared. So that was, days ago. So we don't know how she is now. Remember, she didn't have her medication when she was abducted nearly going on a week ago. So we don't know if the reference was to that. I will say, Sean, we got our letter, which is the same letter that KOLD has, the first one. We got it 12 hours after KOLD got its. So I don't know if we are going to end up getting this, but what I'm going to be looking for is if they are describing in any way the condition of Nancy Guthrie, because if they're not making an additional ransom demand, other than the fact that the reporter said they are trying to prove they are the real deal, and it seems like these two letters are written by the same person, you would think they would have some reference in there to how Nancy is doing.
Well, let's go back to the original letter, Harvey, that you received, and the fact that it mentioned not just the one deadline of yesterday, but the second deadline that is Monday, I would assume 5 p.m. Tucson time, and that would be Monday. And with that you said it would be far more consequential, meaning it sounded somewhat dire, more threatening for her and her safety and her life. That has not changed from all we know about this new letter that came in today.
I can't tell you that. What the reporter said was the deadlines haven't changed. So this sounds more like, again, I don't know because I have not seen this second letter. But I think one of the things everybody is thinking about right now is how is Nancy doing? Assuming she's unharmed, how is she doing? She doesn't have her medication. There are definitely health issues, so I don't know if they have referenced that. But it seems to me that if they are trying to squeeze the family to hit the button on that Bitcoin link, that's one of the things that they would do. That would be a pressure point. Again, I don't know what it says, but from the way the reporter described it, it sounded like there was something somewhat alarming in it.
You know, I can certainly understand there's been now 2 pleas from the family, one from Savannah directly, one from her brother, for proof of life that you are who you say you are. And it seems consistent, this letter, if it's real, again, if all the letters are real, that it would be coming from the same person, although a different IP address. In this particular case, one has to imagine as we get closer to Monday at 5 p.m. Tucson time, you know, whether or not they just hit send on that Bitcoin letter. And I would not blame them, whatever decision they made. I'm sure they're in total agony over it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It is a really tough decision. They have not sent proof of life so far. You know, one of the things I want to see, the KOLD, when you send a letter to their tip line, it does not allow for an attachment. I believe that our tip line does. So I don't know if we end up getting that letter, whether there's going to be an attachment. I have no idea. But the family has been asking for proof of life. I don't know, again, what is in that letter. But based on what the reporter said, it is constructed in a very similar way to the way the first letter was. And I can tell you that first letter is written by someone who is articulate, who knows grammar, who knows structure. And it sounds like the 2 were written by the same person based on the way the reporter at KOLD described that second letter.
Harvey, you know, you can tell in your coverage how much you care. Your coverage has been phenomenal. We appreciate you spending time with us tonight. We thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.